Hey guys, I want to welcome you back to another episode of Bending Time with Daryl Sweeney. And today I want to talk about the grind. I want to talk about our approach to work and chances are our approach to things outside of work, life, health, and so many other things. Now, one of the things that I always share with you guys is that I get to see patterns. One of the beautiful things about coaching is I see the patterns. I see ways of being and ways of showing up that client after client after client will bring into our conversations or into the room. And so many times they think it's just them, and I see it over and over again. And one of those patterns that I'm seeing more and more of this is this belief that it doesn't count unless it's really hard. It doesn't count unless it's really hard. Clients tell me that they want more balance, that they want more ease. They want things to feel lighter. Work is feeling heavy or burdensome, or there's just too much to get it all done. And they want it to feel different. They want their experience of work to be different. And yet at the same time, when we start looking and finding paths to make it feel easier, to create the same result in a different way, or create different kinds of outcomes for themselves, they resist it. In fact, some will go as far as to tell me this doesn't feel like work. And once we dig, it always comes back to this idea that it doesn't count unless it's hard. It doesn't count unless it hurts. And you think, where does this come from? And we go back and we think about those phrases that have been around as long as we can remember. No pain, no gain. Right? Pain is weakness leaving the body. Right? So we've perpetuated this idea that for things to work well or to create the results we really want to create, it has to be hard. It has to be as hard as possible. And some of my best analogies lately have come out of the gym. And it's a place where this idea of it being as hard as possible really came to light. So, first and foremost, I want to give a shout out to a guy who has been a big part of my health journey, Jordan with Executive Athlete Club. And he is the first one that introduced the idea of reps in reserve to me. Now, for some of you gym goers, that may be a familiar term to me, but I had never heard it until about a year ago. And he was explaining that while we want to keep getting stronger, while we want to keep building muscle, our approach to being in the gym is we want to take this reps in reserve approach. And that when I finish a set, when I'm done and I put the weight down and I'm on the other side of it, he wanted me to ask myself, how many more reps could you have done? And he said, what we're going for is 2 reps in reserve. And guys, this went against everything I believed because I always thought I go to the gym, I pick up the heaviest weight I can I can lift for as many reps as I can lift, and we're always going to failure, we're going to exhaustion. And his idea and the way he programmed the workouts said, no, this is not what we want to do. We actually want to have these 2 reps in reserves. It allows us to get to the next exercise. It allows us to show up the next day. We don't want to continually be wiping ourselves out in every moment of every workout. And it's created the most consistency I've had in the gym. It's created the most gains I've had in the gym over a long period of time. I'm lifting more weight and doing more reps than ever before. And it seems almost counterintuitive because my path to getting there was not working as hard as humanly possible. We all bring a lot of ourselves to work. We all give full effort. When we ask what we want from our teams and the people we lead, we tell them we want your best effort. We want your full effort. I have some clients that are always telling me about the sprint they find themselves in at work. And as I've worked with them for a while, at some point it seems like we always have a conversation around, "Hey, are we accurately labeling this what it is? Can we really call it a sprint if one sprint is followed by another sprint is followed by another sprint? Right? Who's ever heard of a 26-mile sprint? Right? There's pacing to marathon running, but we tend to call everything a sprint. And so this is an invitation to ask yourself, what kind of approach are you taking to work? What kind of approach are you taking to anything you're up to? What kind of approach are you taking in the gym? Are you lifting as much as possible, as often as possible? Or are you finding space to make sure that you have the energy, that you have the clarity, that you have the opportunity to say, you know what, I need to bring this much in this situation. I need to bring 85 or 90% because being able to bring 90% over a long period of time is going to actually allow me to go further than bringing 100%, being out of breath, crashing, um, always being anxious, not being able to sleep, not having energy, having our minds always spun up. Right? Is this idea that it doesn't count unless it's hard getting in the way of us creating at an even higher level? So that's what I want to leave you with. I want you to consider and ask yourself, is the way I'm working, am I working with 2 reps in reserve or am I working until failure? Am I working to exhaustion? And if everywhere you look, you're taking I'm putting in the reps, I'm doing the work, I'm giving it my all, and I'm exhausted at the end of it, I would invite you to spend a day, spend a week testing this idea of what happens if I want to make sure that I have 2 reps in reserve when this is all said and done. Let me know how this applies to you. Let me know what you get out of this. And I can't wait to bring another idea to you soon. Thanks for watching.